Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and Happy New Year. If this is the first video that you are seeing on my channel this year, if I missed you on day one, but that was a fabulous video, so make sure you go back and watch that Free Spirit Bundle Petite unboxing if you missed it. But today I have a fabulous book subscription to share with you. I am so glad that you're here. This is the December Literary Book Club box that was sent to me for review really early. They're doing such a great job about getting these boxes out nice and early, but it was a pretty hefty tome that was for this quarter's read, so it took me a little bit longer to get around to it, but I am very happy to be sharing with you all of the goodies that came in this lovely box along with this Chiltern edition of Mansfield Park. So let me just tell you a little bit more about Literary Book Club before we get started. So it is $74.99 per quarter plus $11.95 in shipping. You always get a gorgeous edition of whatever classic she's chosen for the quarter, as well as some gifts to open before you read, to enjoy while you read, at certain page numbers, and then of course when the last page has been read. I just think that she does such a great job about finding us really quality, beautiful items, and I also love that she does really tie them into the book with certain page numbers, and then also that there's something to enjoy, usually something to drink or snack on when you first get started, and then something to enjoy at the very end because you've probably got those reading juices flowing. Often she includes another book or like a cookbook or something, and that is so much fun. So I do have an affiliate link and a code for you. My code is just mauinoel, and that'll save you $5. Now that only works on the subscription, again a quarterly subscription, but I'll leave the link and that code for you in the description box below. She does all kinds of limited edition boxes. Most recently I opened her holiday, her Christmas Nutcracker box, which was so good. It was a really beautifully well done box. There's also going to be a special Valentine's box. I don't know that there are any of those left, but if she does open up the availability of those, there might be a handful left. You want to be on that list. If you are a subscriber of the Literary Book Club, then you also get discounts on those limited edition boxes that you don't get with my code. But of course, you can always use that affiliate link to get to the site. So look at how beautiful this edition is. I love the Chiltern editions. She does quite a few of them. So it's kind of got that like raised texture to it. We've got the gold. We have our nice bookmark with the ribbon, the gold edging. I do have some bookmarks in there. So you can see this was pretty hefty. I just love how all of these look lined up along my bookshelf. But let's talk a little bit about some of the things that come in the box, as well as of course the book. And I will read the passages that are associated with some of the gifts. I have also kind of noted some of the passages that I really liked that I don't think get talked about a lot. So if we have time in our little 20-minute video, I'll read those extra passages. So here is one of the things that is always in a Literary Book Club box is this beautiful 8x10 quote print. It comes in a nice sleeve, so it's very protected. So it says, "Her own thoughts and reflections were habitually her best companions." So of course, Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and that is describing our protagonist, Miss Fanny. So this is just a beautiful thing to have maybe out. If you have a nice library or reading area, you could always put this in a beautiful frame while you are reading whatever book you are reading. So I always think that's kind of a nice touch. And of course, Katie, who is the owner of the Literary Book Club, she does all of the artwork for the box too. Then we always get this beautiful sealed letter as well that has our quote from Jane Austen herself. "I shall be miserable if I have not an excellent library." I love the wax seal detail, and then inside we have with the matching sort of designs for Mansfield Park. Like if you don't have a space for that 8x10, maybe you go ahead and just have this card out. It says, "Shy young Fanny Price is sent to live with wealthy relatives at Mansfield Park, where of her 4 cousins, only Edmund shows her any real kindness. When the wealthy, flirtatious Henry Crawford and his vivacious sister Mary arrive in the neighborhood, Fanny's world is thrown into disarray. Edmund falls under the spell of Mary, while Henry declares his love for Fanny, but the path to happiness doesn't run smoothly." So that is where all of the love triangles and things happen. Of course, you have to kind of get over the fact that Fanny basically is in love with her cousin Edmund. You're like, oh yeah, that was kind of okay back then to fall in love with and eventually marry your cousin. But, you know, we have to learn all of the characters and the way that they sort of refer to them if they're a miss once they get married, you know. So it got a little confusing for me at first because I wasn't really familiar with this novel. It's a classic that I did not, even though I was an English major, did not read until now. And I know that there are a few film adaptations and even a mini series, but I don't remember seeing any of those either. And I didn't want to sort of color my reading of the book by watching the movies, because obviously they often have to leave some out when the book is this big. And, you know, I figured maybe there would be some passages that I would really know, but Katie has also highlighted those passages for us with our little swag bag, which is always here. Now, we do get a product card in this subscription, but it's usually face down at the very bottom of the box. I will sometimes go ahead, I don't necessarily need the element of surprise in my enjoyment of reading this box, so I will usually go through and find it and then just make sure that I know which pages we're supposed to see. But you can also just pull out the individual gifts out of the box because they all have page numbers on them as well. But just for me as a reviewer, I like to kind of know what's coming so that if I am out and about and I don't have my box nearby, I kind of know what passages that I should really be kind of paying attention to. So in our swag bag, we got this lovely little book plate so that you can add to your library. We got this nice sticker that has a quote on it as well. A fondness for reading properly directed must be an education in itself. So lots of admiration for education and reading and being a good reader in this book, which was of course very nice. And then another quote, I like that she's doing different quotes and it's not just the same one. So we already had her own thoughts and reflections were habitually her best companions. We had that new one, the fondness for reading on the sticker. And now finally we have, I am very strong. Nothing ever fatigues me but doing what I do not like. Absolutely. I'm only tired when I'm doing something I don't want to do. So you know what the solution to that is? Do what you want to do. That's a good resolution to have. So beautiful, nice, thick bookmark that of course goes along with our book. You have the ribbon bookmarker. I sometimes will use the little metal ones as well, just because I like to have it be kind of unobtrusive, but I love having these fun quote bookmarks that she includes as well as part of our swag bag. All right, you guys, I think that it is time for us to get into the book. So we have a while you read gift, we have a when the last page has been read gift, and we have 3 page number associated gifts. And then of course we had that quote print. So let's go ahead and see what our while you read gift was. Sometimes I don't actually open them up just because I want to keep the surprise. So, and also it wouldn't be that exciting if there were like biscuits or cookies or tea and I had already enjoyed them myself, right, before the unboxing. So I do sort of withhold that pleasure from myself. So we have a decaf reading nook tea. So it is decaf black tea, which is very rare to find. Rose petals, lavender, chamomile, white cornflower, and vanilla essence. So that is good. I usually like a little caffeine with my tea because usually the only time I can read is in the evening. So I need that little extra pick-me-up. But let me know if you have anything in terms of your resolutions for 2024 in terms of more reading or getting to bed earlier or what you're going to do. If there's anything that you're doing, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Our first one though that was associated with a page number was on page 19. So let me see if I can find that. So again, I do sometimes use these little metal book markers that I first found in a literary book club box. Let's see. So this is when Fanny first goes to stay with her aunt and her 4 cousins. And her 4 cousins are, of course, Tom is the eldest son, and then we have Mariah, Julia, and Edmund is the youngest. And then she has another aunt, which is Mrs. Norris, who's a little bit of a busybody and kind of runs the estate of Mansfield Park. They were a remarkably fine family, the sons very well looking, the daughters decidedly handsome, and all of them well grown and forward of their age, which produced as striking a difference between the cousins in person as education had given to their address, and no one would have supposed the girls so nearly of an age as they really were. There were in fact but 2 years between the youngest and Fanny. Julia Bertram was only 12, and Mariah but a year older. Mariah, excuse me. The little visitor, meanwhile, was as unhappy as possible. Afraid of everybody, ashamed of herself, herself and longing for the home she had left, she knew not how to look up and could scarcely speak to be heard without crying. Mrs. Norris had been talking to her the whole way from Northampton of her wonderful good fortune and the extraordinary degree of gratitude and good behavior which it ought to produce, and her consciousness of misery was therefore increased by the idea of its being a wicked thing for her not to be happy. The fatigue, too, of so long a journey became soon no trifling evil. In vain were the well-meant condescensions of Sir Thomas, and all the officious prognostications of Mrs. Norris that she would be a good girl. In vain did Lady Bertram smile and make her sit on the sofa with herself and Pug, and vain was even the sight of a gooseberry tart towards giving her comfort. She could scarcely swallow 2 mouthfuls before tears interrupted her, and sleep seeming to be her likeliest friend, she was taken to finish her sorrows in bed. So poor Fanny, when she first goes there, is so sad, and her, of course, Aunt Norris, Mrs. Norris, is telling her how grateful she should be to get to live in this wealthier family, because Fanny has a family where her mother did not marry as well as her 2 sisters, so she is being sent off to be like, you know, they're just thinking of it as their good deed within the family. So we have this lovely gift, page 19, you can see is right on there. I have a feeling we are not going to have time for extra passages, but you guys, this subscription is really well done, and if you are looking for a way to sort of re-engage yourself in classics that you may not have ever gotten around to, and also just build a beautiful, sophisticated library, this is a subscription you want. So, she wasn't even satisfied with a gooseberry tart, which you would think that a little girl like who hasn't had very many luxuries would be really enjoying, but we got some Chesbro's gooseberry candy. It says we carefully balance the tart gooseberry flavor with just enough sugar to make a delicious candy. So we got some hard candies, which are a great thing to keep you up when you are reading a little bit later in the evening. So I thought that was a nice gift. I did not get to enjoy them during this book, but maybe in the next one for sure. So, and of course, I stumbled a little bit because one of her cousins, it is Mariah, that's how it would be pronounced, but it is spelled like Maria, and I'm just so used to reading the name Maria. And then we have, of course, on page 191, so it was pretty evenly spaced out, the gifts. I think this whole novel was almost 500 pages though. So let's see, Mansfield Park, page 191. All right, let's see if I can remember what this was. Okay, so Mr. Bertram, basically, or I guess Sir Thomas Bertram is her uncle and the father of the 4 cousins, and he has been away in Antigua, I want to say, and so he has finally come back after years away. So it says, Mrs. Norris was by no means to be compared in happiness to her sister, so she's kind of annoyed that he came back, when he came back, and how he came back. Not that she was incommoded by many fears of Sir Thomas's disapprobation when the present state of his house should be known, for her judgment had been so blinded that, except by the instinctive caution with which she had whisked away Mr. Rushworth's pink satin cloak as her brother-in-law entered, she could hardly be said to shew any sign of alarm, but she was vexed by the manner of his return. So the kids have been planning a play, a slightly scandalous play, and that's what he comes back to. And so she, Mr. Rushworth is actually the husband of Mariah, and so he has been a part of the play as well, and so she takes his pink satin cloak away. It says, it had left her nothing to do. Instead of being sent out of the room and seeing him first and having to spread the happy news throughout the house, Sir Thomas, with a very reasonable dependence perhaps on the nerves of his wife and children, had sought no confidant but the butler, and had been following him almost instantaneously into the drawing-room. Mrs. Norris felt herself defrauded of an office on which she had always depended, whether his arrival or his death were to be the thing unfolded, and was now trying to be in a bustle without having anything to bustle about, and laboring to be important where nothing was wanted but tranquility and silence. So she wanted to be the bearer of the news of his return or his death or whatever it is, and she's been ripped, you know, been defrauded of that opportunity. Would Sir Thomas have consented to eat, she might have gone to the housekeeper with troublesome directions, and insulted the footman with injunctions of dispatch. But Sir Thomas resolutely declined all dinner. He would take nothing till tea came. He would rather wait for tea. Still, Mrs. Norris was at intervals urging something different, and in the most interesting moment of his passage to England, when the alarm of a French privateer was at the height, he's telling his story of being away, she burst through his recital with the proposal of soup. Sure, my dear Sir Thomas, a basin of soup would be a much better thing for you than tea. Do have a basin of soup. Sir Thomas could not be provoked. "Still the same anxiety for everybody's comfort, my dear Mrs. Norris," was his answer, "but indeed I would rather have nothing but tea." "Well then, Lady Bertram, suppose you speak for tea directly. Suppose you hurry badly a little. He seems to be behind tonight." She carried this point, and Sir Thomas's narrative proceeded. So yes, she has been, you know, she's really like, I wanted to be the one to do all of this, and you took that ability away from me. So on page 191, we have, of course, that same quote. She had these beautiful bags printed. I think that's a really nice touch for the packaging of everything. And we get this lovely tea towel, again with, I think, Katie's script. And so we have this lovely watercolor tea towel that says, oh, we have the classic, "But indeed, I would rather have nothing but tea." So we have another quote and a beautiful sort of watercolor bordered tea towel. And then of course it has Jane Austen there as the source of the quote. That is so pretty. I hadn't opened it all the way up to see how beautiful it was. All right, page 416 is our final page numbered gift. Let me see if I can find this one. The passages that I wanted to read you were where Henry was actually kind of seeming like a good guy in terms of his ability to read, and you know, Edmund was really talking about how great he was. So this is page 416. Now this is towards the end when Fanny has gone home, and she's back with her own family, and she's learning a little bit more about her sister Susan, who eventually comes to Mansfield Park as well. The intimacy thus began between them was a material advantage to each. By sitting together upstairs, they avoided a great deal of the disturbance of the house. Fanny had peace, and Susan learned to think it no misfortune to be quietly employed. They sat without a fire, but that was a privation familiar even to Fanny, and she suffered the less because reminded by it of the East Room at Mansfield Park. It was the only point of resemblance. In space, light, furniture, and prospect, there was nothing alike in the two apartments, and she often heaved a sigh at the remembrance of all her books and boxes and various comforts there. By degrees, the girls came to spend the chief of the morning upstairs, at first only in working and talking, but after a few days, the remembrance of the said books grew so potent and stimulative that Fanny found it impossible not to try for books again. There were none in her father's house, but wealth is luxurious and daring, and some of hers found its way to a circulating library. She became a subscriber, amazed at being anything in propria persona, amazed at her own doings in every way, to be a renter, a chooser of books, and to be having any one's improvement in view in her choice. But so it was. Susan had read nothing, and Fanny longed to give her a share in her own first pleasures and inspire a taste for the biography and poetry which she delighted in herself. So she basically gets a library card and starts to get to choose her own books. She realizes how fun that is, and also to share that love of reading with her sister. So in here we get, this is kind of exciting, we have a candle, and the scent is called The Library. So it smells of old books. I do love that smell. Eucalyptus and lavender. So a nice little library tin. It is from Flypaper, hand-poured soy candle, 25-hour burn time. And so of course they have that same joke, get literary. So let's give it a little sniff. Ooh, that smells really good. I'm not getting the eucalyptus so much as the lavender, and maybe a hint of old books. It kind of smells a little like masculine, a little cologne-y, which I don't mind at all. All right, you guys. And then we get to the end, and of course we have another gift, which has the same sort of logo as the box, right? That nice little cameo. And so here we have it on this piece of brown paper, and you can see this lovely sticker where we open when the last page has been read. So, you know, there are some smaller gifts like the print, as well as the while you read a little item, but then we had the 3-page numbered gifts, and then this final gift. So really you have 4 sort of substantial gifts and then a lot of extras. So we got another book to continue our reading, and it does say on our little cheat sheet, our list of the products, the items that are in the box at the bottom, you know, again, face down on the bottom, it says, if you like Jane Austen, you'll also enjoy reading this fun Regency romance written by Georgette Heyer in 1921. So it is from Mint Editions, and we've gotten some Mint Editions before as an extra book towards the end. And so it's beautiful with this kind of tile print on it. So let me just read the tiny little blurb for you, and we'll be all done. Thank you guys for watching this video, by the way. It says, exiled, accused of being a gambler and a cheat, Lord Jack Carstairs. I wanted to say Carstares because I'm so used to Spanish names, but I'm guessing it's Carstairs, roams the roads of rural England by the name of Sir Anthony Ferndale, searching for carriages to rob. When an encounter risks revealing his identity, however, Carstairs receives an unexpected chance at redemption. The Black Moth is a novel by Georgette Heyer. That's an interesting last sentence. It's very simple, but I've never actually really heard of this. So another great thing about this book, we have things that you've definitely heard of, or most likely heard of, like Mansfield Park, because it is by the famous Jane Austen. And then we get a book at the end that we might not have necessarily read. But I just appreciate this as a great suggestion. If you're kind of in that mode, you're kind of enjoying that sort of time period, that sort of style of writing, I think it's probably a really fun thing to read. So another fabulous quarterly box. I love both the limited editions that the Literary Book Club does as well as the quarterly boxes. I think the quarterly boxes are really, really good value for the amazing editions that we receive, as well as the quality of the gifts. So I mean, we got 2 beautiful books and some nice tea, some candies, a nice candle. The tea towel that she had made is really, really beautiful. But you guys let me know in the comments below, do you love Mansfield Park? Do you love Jane Austen? What is a title that you would like to see in the Literary Book Club? She has already announced the next one that's going to be in March. I think there's already probably a wait list for that, so you do want to be on the wait list, but it's an Agatha Christie book, which I'm very, very excited about. So make sure that you check it out and use my link and my code to get your $5 off if you're a new subscriber. Again, it's just mauinoel, and I will see you all very, very soon in my next unboxing.